not too young. I'm having flashbacks to high school, Paul. Anyway, reading over this, your path to prosperity adds 5.1 trillion to our national debt between 2012 and 2021.
That sounds about right.
17,000.
About a third as much as the president, but yes.
17,000 per man, woman, and child for a family of four. That's $68,000.
Right.
Okay, and you were talking about how you want your children and our next generation to benefit from your plan. Our surplus is not going to be achieved until 2040. My son will be 46. It'll be my grandchildren. And so why are we forking in another 5.1 trillion on a plan that's not going to work?
It's an excellent question.
In going into 19 years of additional deficit payments.
It's a great question. Every budget you've seen offered by anybody in Washington has deficits for a long time because we're in such a deep fiscal hole. The president's adds 13 trillion to the debt. We had, I think, that sounds about right what you said. Because we believe we should grandfather the grandparents. We believe that people who are on Medicare and people who are about to go on Medicare have had promises made to them. They've organized their lives around them, and we believe we should keep those. That means we have to borrow more money and have more debt in order to finance those promises. But we can finance those promises if we get our debt under control. And so, yes, there is more borrowing in this because we grandfather the current seniors into the programs that they have right now. That is a I guess I'd say, a moral decision we've made. And yes, it does mean temporary deficits for a while, but here's basically what it does on spending. This shows you the last 10 years of spending as a percentage of our economy. That's the president's budget. That's his budget speech. And this is our budget. Hardly would I call this draconian. All we're saying is take spending back down to where it historically has been. From 2008 until now, spending has been on a binge. Bush and Obama. I'm not trying to say this is all Barack Obama's fault. Spending has been binging. What we're saying is just get spending back down to where it has historically been and get the government better focused. That's why I'm saying get rid of corporate welfare, reform our welfare system, and, yes, don't pull the rug out from our current seniors or people about to retire, because I think we can't afford to borrow money to cash flow their benefits so long as we get it under control in the future. And that's why the difference between our plan and the status quo, where we are, is the debt peaks in 2 years as a share of our economy, and then goes down from there to where we actually pay it off. Under the status quo, by the end of the decade, the debt goes above 100% of our economy, and then goes up through the stratosphere.
Okay.
So the point is this: you will have debt in the meantime, so long as we can make it containable. I think we can get through it.
That I understand. And being under 54 and on Medicare, I already know I'm screwed, so
Actually, under whatever proposal,
this is gonna,
it wouldn't affect you, by the way, but just so you know. If you're already on Medicare, you're grandfathered in the current system. That's the proposal. Even if you're under 65.
well, I don't know. According to what I say, I'm screwed. But my concern is...
Don't believe everything you read.
Or everything I hear?
Sure.
Thank you.
Not today, though. Believe that.
Yeah, I believe you in high school, and I believe you now. So, anyway, my concern is, though, you keep saying this is going to benefit our children. It's not. Those of us with children that are 16, 15, 16, 17 are going to be, in their 40s before this happens. It's not going to take effect until our grandchildren. So you're screwing our generation and the next.
So the alternative is this? Is the debt crisis? Is that your point? Are you saying cut spending faster and deeper?
I'm saying your plan screws the next two generations.
Okay, so...
It doesn't go far enough.
Obviously, I don't agree with you, but don't take my word for it. Take the word of the Congressional Budget Office, which does say, I wish that lady was still here, which does say that our plan does balance and pay off the debt. Under the Congressional Budget Office, they say it leaves the next generation with higher living standards. More importantly, let me say this. If you're going to make these kinds of accusations, I have a right to defend myself. I asked the Congressional Budget Office, what would the tax rates have to be on my children's generation when they're, in our situation, raising their families? When they're living in Janesville, raising their families like my wife and I are ours, under the status quo. They said the lowest tax bracket that lower income taxpayers pay, the 10% bracket, goes up to 25%. Middle income taxpayers pay a 63% tax rate, and the top rate, which is what the successful small businesses pay, goes to 88%. My point is this: the path we are on is destroying the next generation. The status quo is destroying the next generation. Failing to address the status quo is the biggest mistake you can make. It's the most harsh thing you can do to everybody in society, not least of which is our children and our grandchildren. Getting this debt under control, which is the only plan that does this, by the way. It's the only plan that's been offered. Whether it's the president's budget, we haven't even seen anything from the Senate yet. It's the only plan that has been certified by the CBO as actually getting this debt under control and paid off. We can absorb some debt. We can't absorb that kind of mountain of debt. And this does keep our tax rates on our children down, and it pays off our debt. So our children, I see this lady with a baby Bjorn over there, that baby is inheriting about a debt that's going to be about 400% the size of our economy. There is no way the economy will be there for that baby if we stay on the path we are on. And if you look at our budget, scored not by Paul Ryan, but by the Congressional Budget Office, that baby has a debt-free nation under our plan. I would say that that's better than